My compadre from the NFL Network is Brian Baldinger. How are you doing, Baldy?
Well, hello, Rich. I'm doing great. I'm right where I spend a whole lot of my time, right here in this film room at NFL Films, and I'm having a great afternoon here, Rich.
So that's where you do these? Is you go into the Sable Mahal down there in southern New Jersey, and that's where. How do you choose what you're breaking down, Baldy?
You know, Rich, I don't have any sort of, sometimes you just want to see, how did Philip Lindsay do that against Pittsburgh's defense on Sunday? You want to go back and watch him run the ball and how they ran it. So I may have some preconceived things, but I just put games on and I start watching. And I just wait for things to jump out at me. It could be play calls. It could be design. It could be just, some awful tackling in that Eagles and Giants game. I mean, it could be anything. And then whatever sort of hits me, I just sort of start posting and let the fans see kind of some of the things that they might have missed watching the game.
Well, I love it, man. You're doing a great job of it. So let's bite on that one with Philip Lindsay. And in the same vein, it seems like James Conner isn't as effective the last couple of weeks. What have you seen on film in regards to both of those running backs?
Well, Philip Lindsay, he might be the fastest back in the league, Rich. I mean, you constantly see defensive backs and linebackers take the wrong angle, and he just runs right by them. Only the young back in Green Bay right now, Aaron Jones, is averaging more yards per carry than Philip Lindsay. He's averaging 5.8 yards a carry, a yard more than Saquon. So I think if a team could come out of this pack here, it could be Denver right now with the two wins they've just posted back-to-back here against the Chargers and Steelers, and Lindsay's a big part of it. And for James Conner, they kind of went away from him. I'm not sure why Pittsburgh, in a game that was 17-17 and knotted up for long stretches, went away from James Conner and decided to throw it 56 times. I think, guys like Conner, he has shown you all year that you got to keep feeding him. And the more touches he gets, the more big plays you're going to get out of him.
And so at the end of the game, Big Ben has created a bit of a stir by discussing how the interceptor got blocked into a route that Antonio Brown should have been running flat as opposed to drifting in the end zone. What does the eye in the sky tell you on that final play?
Well, it's almost like the Tim Tebow jump pass. I mean, it looked like there was a little miscommunication between him and Conner on the ball fake. And then, Antonio Brown is going vertical, and the defender, Roby, got underneath it. I don't know if Shelby Harris, if he doesn't intercept the ball, if the ball isn't going to be intercepted by Roby. And so, it's kind of a peculiar play, to be honest with you, in that spot. You're throwing the ball into a heavy traffic like that. And so I'm sure there's frustration when the game ends on that type of a play in the final minute. But it wasn't really well executed.
Brian Baldinger here on the Rich Eisen Show and the Honda Insider Report. Which quarterback have you seen on film that's executing at the highest level?
Well, there's nobody like Drew Brees right now, Rich.
Right.
I mean, it's just everything. I mean, how do you throw 4 touchdown passes on Thanksgiving while we're all enjoying our seconds to 4 players that weren't drafted? Nice. I mean, it's just, Rich, honestly, I want to see you out there with your 5'9" 40 time.
That's nice.
Catch a touchdown pass, Rich. I mean, cameraman, let's have a raffle. Who can catch Drew Brees' next touchdown pass? Because they're all open, and they're all making great plays. Dan Arnold, Tommy Lee Lewis. It doesn't matter who their name is right now.
Yeah, and as you point out, he's just executing at such an insane level. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So where do you stand on the scheme argument in regards to the Green Bay Packers, who have the same record as Baker Mayfield's Browns right now at 4-6-1? Where do you stand on the offense and McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers and the way it's being executed right now?
It looks awfully stale, Rich. It just looks like we've been watching this same movie over and over again. Send 3 receivers out, let them go try to win one-on-ones, let Aaron Rodgers and that golden right arm of his try to go fit the ball into someplace. And at times, he's just drop dead perfect. And then at other times, nobody's really getting open, and the pass protection is starting to break down, and Aaron's moving. It's just the offense just doesn't have a rhythm to it. When you watch the tight end, you'd think that Jimmy Graham by this point would be a big part of it, and he's no part of this offense. And so there just lacks any kind of a rhythm to what they do right now.
And what about the Patriots offense that seems to be more reliant on Sony Michel to succeed? What do you think here?
I wonder sometimes, Rich, why all teams don't have a fullback. That James Devlin, I mean, when they go in that two-back, they ran the ball 36 times on Sunday, Rich, against your Jets. The only negative run they had the whole day was on Tom Brady's final kneel down in the victory formation. That fullback keeps the line of scrimmage clean. And I don't care if Leonard Williams penetrates or Jamal Adams penetrates or whoever was there at the line of scrimmage, he cleans it up. And Sony Michel, James White, Cordero Patterson are running the ball. And, yes, Michel had a great day, a great afternoon. And they just have an undying commitment to the run. And it's one of the reasons why they're always successful in December and get to January aren't a factor.
And it's interesting, Brian Baldinger here in the Honda Insider Report. Mike Zimmer, who's always honest, that's one of the many reasons why he's so terrific. On a conference call today with the Vikings paying a visit to Cordero Patterson, former Viking, quote, "Quite honestly, they're using him way better than we did," is what he said.
Well, I mean, we were never really very surprised by what the Patriots do. But, you know, I mean, they have all these injuries at running back, and they need a running back. And Sony Michel is on the shelf for a little while. Well, Cordero Patterson is 6'2", 230 pounds, a number one draft pick with returnability, all that stuff that we saw. And they said, well, let's make him a tailback. And he was really good at it and still is good at it. So they just constantly find things that players can do, and then they kind of test it. They put them in the laboratory, and they try it out during practice, and then they go with it. And it's a great fit. And he's been a real addition to that team in their commitment to the run game.
Brian Baldinger here on the Honda Insider Report. I loved your particular Baldy breakdown on Quentin Nelson a couple weeks ago when he just absolutely – was that against the Jaguars? Was that what that was?
Well, it's every week, Rich.
The lineman from the Colts.
The argument, Rich, you know, going back to, you know, you're at the draft in Dallas, and can you take a guard at number 6? He's the best player in that draft. And I think there's Saquon, and there's all these great rookies. It's a great class. But this Quentin Nelson has changed the entire culture in Indianapolis. They went 6 weeks without giving up a sack to Andrew Luck. They're a hot team. They've won 5 in a row. They'll take anybody on. They go down to Houston this week. It's a great matchup against a good defensive line. But this guy's attitude, first of all, he's great at what he does. He's just an earth mover. He's just a John Deere tractor in a football uniform. But then he runs around the field like he's got a third lung. And he's there at the end of every play to pick up his running back, protect his quarterback, go grab his receiver off the field. He's just changed. He's made Anthony Costanzo and Ryan Kelly better at center and at left tackle right now.
Well, it certainly is adding up to wins. There's no doubt about it. So let's start brass taxing it here. Based on the film that you've seen, based on your analysis, you've got a choice for Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, you've got Aaron Donald and Khalil Mack and J.J. Watt. You can maybe even throw Darius Leonard, who we had on yesterday's show from the Colts, in that mix. Who do you choose?
Well, I would add Eddie Jackson to that conversation, Rich. I mean, the Bears are a hot team, obviously. They go to New York this week. He's got 3 defensive touchdowns, you know, and none bigger than the one last week that puts these games on ice. But it'd be hard right now to go against Aaron Donald and what he's doing. The only team that has been successful in the last 2 months to keep him off the quarterback was the New Orleans Saints. And if you talk to their offensive line coach, Dan Rauscher, that week, they spent hours after midnight designing schemes so that he never was singled up one time the whole day by formation, by personnel groupings, and they did a great job limiting him. But it'd be hard right now to say that Aaron Donald, through 12 weeks, isn't the Defensive Player of the Year.
And then in terms of the schemes that you've seen, and you know that the how it all is borne out in meeting rooms throughout the week, and then unveiling them at the proper time, pushing the right buttons, who's your Coach of the Year?
Wow, there's so many good ones. But I tell you, Rich, I've been watching football as long as you and as long as anybody. I've never seen a Bears offense that looks like this, ever.
Wow.
And they are just an exciting group. And every guy that they brought in, from Trey Burton to Allen Robinson to Taylor Gabriel to Anthony Miller out of Memphis, I mean, they've all hit on every one of those players. And that offense right now is a handful for anybody. So while Sean Payton and Sean McVay and Andy Reid, all those guys are great candidates, to right now, to see what Matt Nagy is doing, they've done it without their starting quarterback. They've done it without Khalil Mack. They've done it without Kyle Long. And they keep winning and finding new ways to win. Right now, it would be hard for me to go against Matt Nagy and what he's doing.
You think the Bears win a playoff game, Brian?
Yeah, I do. I don't know. You know, we got to see how it plays out. Obviously, Rich,
Sure,
with
of course.
if they're on the road or at home. But
well, they'll be at home. I think they're going to be at home for the first one, though, Brian.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, I think they win
you
the
could
division, so
you could sit there and say it's either it could be against Seattle, could be
Yep.
against Minnesota, could be against Carolina. I mean, you have no idea. Could be against Dallas or Washington. You have no Philly. I mean, there's a whole variety of teams that could walk in there first Saturday or Sunday of January.
There's no question. And so the only, home game that they have lost this year was the New England Patriots, where they put up 31 points. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough assignment for any team to go into Soldier Field. As crazy as that crowd is right now, the field will be just god-awful at that point in January. You might as well play it, on a sandlot, because that's what it's going to look like. And that defense and what Vic Fangio is doing, with all the pieces that he has in that offense, I think they're going to win a playoff game for sure.
Baldy, great chat, and I really love your Twitter Baldy breakdowns, man. It's a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, Rich. Thank you very much.
Everyone should check it out at Baldy NFL. That's Brian Baldinger calling in from NFL Films.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.